Hey, what's up? This is Jason Drone from GSD Daily. Welcome to episode number 48, I believe. And with me today is a very, very special guest. You see him on the screen, Patch Baker. How are you doing, Patch?
I'm good, buddy. Glad to hang out with you.
Yeah, man. So Patch and I have had a couple conversations in the past, and this dude knows more about more things than like anybody else I've ever met. So
You can't start out like that, bro.
Oh, so today, this is a high ticket sells some shit week. So basically, so Monday we went over strategy sessions and selling on strategy sessions. Yesterday we went over basically what you can sell, like assisted learning, group coaching, masterminds, boot camps, like all that kind of stuff. And today we're going to learn about how to sell some high ticket stuff on Zoom. And you love video, you love selling stuff on video, right?
Yeah, for sure. I won't even take phone calls anymore. It used to be I try to get really good at phone closing.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not saying that there's not a place for phone closing. I'm definitely not saying that.
Yeah.
But you'd be surprised, man. I don't take phone calls at all. Like I send them over to Morgan and she books a Zoom call, or we just don't talk. And I do that with everybody. But the good thing is, the really good thing is I've created that kind of culture. Everybody knows that if they want to talk to me, they have to book a call.
Right.
And I don't do this to them though. Lots of people use Calendly links to set up.
Oh yeah.
And anybody who's somebody, and I mean everybody's somebody, but anybody who you want to talk to, don't put them under the AI line with saying, "Hey, just hit my Calendly link." Right. Because it's like a real smack in the face to a lot of people.
Yeah.
It's just,
even like
personality out of it.
Yeah. So we it's interesting that you bring that up because like we use Calendly like scheduling links in like software, like in our funnels, like
in software, yes.
And Pipe Drive and whatever. But a referral.
And it depends on where they start. It depends on where they start. Like, for example, if they start in a Facebook bot and then you say, hey, pick a time and we'll meet up.
Yeah.
They've been talking to a computer the whole time. When they contact you directly and then you say, oh, here's my Calendly link.
Yeah.
And then I have to go work for a computer. You put me under we call it the AI line.
Yeah.
And when you do that, it's like, it's super turnoff. Right.
Oh,
So back to the original of I used to try really hard to close people on the phone, but the unfortunate part about being on the phone is that you don't have that face-to-face contact. And a lot of times to sell high ticket stuff, I just want you to think about this from a like customer journey standpoint. In order to sell high ticket stuff, you typically always have to educate them about the product, the service, the course, the security, the investment, the whatever it is. So if you have to educate them, I just want you to think about it. On the phone, they could be doing dishes. They could be taking out the trash. They can be messing around with kids.
True.
You can't understand whether or not they are seeing you and understanding you. Like even right now, you don't even know that you're doing it, but you are agreeing with what I'm saying. So you're shaking your head yes, which means I can move on to the next piece or the next topic. If you're sitting there and you're going, I know that I need to stay on that topic because you don't get it yet.
Yeah.
So as part of the sales sequence and sales cycle, I can pull 2 or 3 or 5 closes by watching your face and understanding where you are in the conversation. And I can only do that on video. I can't necessarily do it on the phone unless you're super talkative.
Right.
If you're engaging with me and you can get through, I can keep asking questions and you keep doing answers, then it's easier for me to close you. But most people are not like that. Most people do, subtle things. They're either shaking their head, they're slanting their eyes, they're doing whatever. to let me know, hey, they're good with it, they understand it, but they don't believe it, or hey, they don't understand it, they don't understand how we got from point A to point C.
Right.
So go back and talk about B real quick.
Yep.
I can also see this is really cool too. I can also see which part of the pitch is really enticing to them. So a lot of really good high ticket closers, we're actually sending out small little subtle things, trying to understand where you are in your life journey. So therefore we can figure out what is the thing that makes you tick. Is it straight up dollars? Is it impact? Is it education? Is it helping others? What is it? And then I adjust my close to fall in line with your things. Now, every good sales process, every solid sales strategy has multiple different entryways into the same exact product, service, digital products, investment, whatever we're talking about. There's multiple entryways into that. One of the things that we have to do is either one, on the automated side, we have to tag you to understand which one of those you fall into, so that we can put the messaging, that resonates with you. Or if it's just to high ticket close, then when I'm on the video with you, I have to do all those subtle little things.
Right.
So Jason, what's been going on in your world, man? What's the next big goal that you got? And then just start pegging on those things. So that I make sure that whatever closing technique that I'm using should fall directly in line with what your aspirations are. I have to make sure that the product does fulfill on that piece that you want to do, or that goal that you have. And then it's just all roads lead to Rome, right? Like my product or service is the answer for every single objection, every single issue. And if it's not, just say that and get off the phone, get on another call.
Right.
Don't waste your time trying to close something that is just not a good fit.
Yeah, totally. So a couple times you mentioned different kinds of closes, so can you talk about some of the different kinds of closes? You have like emotional and, so.
Oh man, there's so many of them. Like we could talk about this for 6 weeks. I mean,
how about a couple that you use often?
I don't know. I'm one of those people that I play the person. Sales is a chess game. There's a lot of people out there that are still playing checkers, and those people might get a win every once in a while, but the guys that are playing chess, the guys that are really doing some stuff, they're 3 or 4 or 5 steps ahead. And as irony would have it, I say we, like the collective royal we, like the collective whole, but I don't try to do things to people. I try to do things for people. You and I have had this conversation about, clients where you got to beat them into submission in order to drag them to success.
Right.
But some people really need certain things, but most of the time, you're selling them on the sizzle, and then you actually give them what they have to have in order to get to the next step. So I do a lot of that kind of stuff. I do a lot of, they're kind of like reset closes, which is nothing more than you build them up, and then you say, okay, let's reset and go back to the beginning. What would be the next logical step for you and your business to move forward? This is what I think it is. And you get them start to talking about, if you were their vendor or their, if you were partnered in some way, or they were using a service or product, what would be the next logical step for them to take? And then what happens is they start pitching you on why they would be a good client, or, why they'd be a good fit. And what happens then is you say, that sounds like a great idea. Let's do that.
Oh, that's good. I really, really like that. So how do you handle objections?
Face, like head on.
Yeah.
Like face first. There's really no objection. You think about it. People don't need to be sold if they already know that they need it.
Yeah.
Or they're smart enough to know that they're not smart enough to handle it.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the two reasons that people buy without needing to be sold.
Right.
So if let's just say something happens and you have to go to court.
Mm-hmm.
We'll call it a frivolous lawsuit because nobody does anything wrong.
Right.
So let's say you have to go to court. You call an attorney to hire the attorney.
Yep.
And the only thing that you're really doing at that point is price shopping.
Yeah.
Like, how much is it going to cost me? That's
right.
all you really know.
Is he going to keep me out of jail?
Right. And then the second thing is you don't hire the attorney and then tell him how to litigate.
Right.
Right. You don't hire him and then go to court and be like, I think you should be telling the judge this.
Yeah.
Like, it just doesn't happen like that. So if you're doing high ticket closing, one of the main things that you have, in my opinion, that you have to do is you have to set the stage that you are the expert in that field. So this is not like a client vendor relationship.
Yeah.
This is more like a partnership. We're going to work on this together. But at the end of the day, you're going to listen to what I have to say. You're going to do what I tell you to do. And we're going to come out on top. The same way an attorney would. The attorney will say, hey, send me these documents. Send me this paperwork. Give me this timeline. You'll do all of that kind of stuff, even though you hired him to work on your case and then he told you what to go do.
Right.
And you do it.
Yeah.
So that's one of the biggest things that I do as part of like right before the close, right? Like I'm closing the whole time really.
Mm-hmm.
But right before I'm like, all right, I'm going to send you over this, contract or this proposal or whatever we're doing.
Yep.
I'm going to say, hey, so I just want to make sure that when you sign this document that we're going to become a partner in this together. Mm-hmm. I'm the expert. You're hiring me to be the expert. Mm-hmm. So let me help you get to that next spot. You good with that? Yep, I'm good with that. All right. I just hit it, I just sent it over to your inbox. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of like the final thing, because the very next thing that I'm going to do is once I get their signed contract or proposal or the money changes hands or the invoice goes out or whatever the next step is, mm-hmm. the very next thing I'm going to do is an onboarding call where I set the stage 100%, mm-hmm. and then introduce my team and I turn it over to my team and I don't really do anything else other than to just check in. Mm-hmm. So I think that is another great thing that you can do. I hear mm-hmm. lots of people talking about things like servant leadership.
Yeah.
I'm not opposed to servant leadership, but it's more on the leadership part than the servant part.
Right.
Right. You are helping them. And I get the gist, but what happens is when, a lot of people that talk about servant leadership have too much on the servant side and they just become doormats for their clients.
Right.
And that it doesn't make anybody feel good. There's not enough money to make it happen to where you're cool with it. And eventually it's going to run its paces and, you're going to burn out on that person.
Right. For the most part, you do mostly inbound leads, right? Like somebody comes in to purchase any of your high ticket stuff. It's all inbound. It's not outbound, right?
I do outbound also.
You do outbound too?
Yeah.
Yeah. So like some of the stuff that we covered earlier in the week was, building like sales systems, automated webinars and stuff that end up booking sales calls into strategy sessions. And then the paid traffic handles all of the awareness building.
Yep.
And by the time somebody comes to a call, then they usually already at least lightly know what the offer is. They might not know what the price is. They might not know that there's, they know it will help them, but maybe not directly know how it will relate and benefit them. And then on the sales call, the sales call is more just kind of a glorified order taker, and so the process can be sold for courses and masterminds and, any consulting or coaching or anything proposal based or whatever.
The final call to me is more like playing cleanup.
Yeah.
It's like just making sure that every last minute question is answered and, given some more confidence, because it's really the first time that person is going to be able to have a back and forth discussion.
Yes.
Because most webinars, I would say a majority of webinars are pre-recorded. Therefore, there's no real way to have any interaction unless you were on the first one.
Right.
And because of that, people know that. People are privy to that. So sometimes, and I've kind of done this myself. I go through a lot of other people's funnels to see what's shaking and what's going on, the new trends, and it's part of my, keeping on the tip of the spear. I'm learning too, and it's I've called people before, even though I knew I was going to close on something, just to see what those people said.
Yeah.
And, to make sure that customer service is at a level that I feel confident with if I'm going to buy this high ticket thing, right? If we're talking about, high ticket being, let's say it's, a $5,000 course on how to buy rental property. Well, I want to know that whoever I'm going to didn't send all of their customer service to some third world country.
Right.
Not saying that badly, but they may not understand my question. And I want to know that ahead of time before I get myself into this $5,000 deal.
Right.
So I think one of the best things that you can do as part of the call to close or the video to close, one of the best things that you can do is make sure that the people that are answering that have a really, really good understanding of what their lane is that they can talk about.
Right.
Before they have to escalate it to you for you to close it again.
Yep.
So I'll say, hey, you can talk about these 17 things, but if you get into one of these 5 things, you have to schedule that person to talk with me.
Yeah.
So that I can close it. And those can be 15-minute calls.
Right. Right. Totally.
Which is crazy because most of the time, the average length, in my experience, the average length to close on a call to close with somebody other than me or the person that was on the webinar is about a 30-minute call.
Nice. Yeah.
But if they get to talk directly to me, it's only a 15-minute call.
Right. Right.
Which is kind of crazy, but or whoever was on the webinar to begin with. Because they already feel like they've got a relationship with that person.
Yeah.
Well, and most of the time, the only things that this is how it starts out. They have one question that you could answer in like 2 minutes or less.
Yeah.
But 13 minutes of that is going to be them telling you how unique their business is and how different it is than every other business on the planet.
Right.
And you almost have to just, let them talk it out because it makes them feel good.
Yeah.
They can build confidence. That's another thing. They're building confidence in themselves to be able to ask you the question.
Yep.
You give them the answer and sign the paperwork and done.
Yep. So for everybody listening, Patch, how many businesses do you own an interest in?
29.
Okay. So 29 businesses. And he literally just said every business is the same.
Everyone is the same. They're all the same. I don't care how cool you think you are. Your business is exactly the same as somebody else. None of us are doing anything that's new. Right. We're just taking nuances from several different businesses. You can make a lot of money in the gaps between two businesses.
Yeah.
And fundamentally, they're all the same. You need money to operate. You need people to do work. You need to have something that you can sell. You have to be able to collect that money in a way that, pays the bills on time.
Right.
Fundamentally, they're all the same.
Right.
And that goes for illegal businesses too, right? If you were selling crack, it's the same thing. You have to have product. You have to, you have to make money. You have to have salespeople. It's all fundamentally the same. So and we're kind of laughing about it, but the reason why I say that is because there are so many people that build businesses that feel that they're so ultimately different.
Yeah.
That what happens is they operate in this fantasy world that they have to do things outside of the norm. Things that will work for other companies won't work for mine.
Right.
And that just doesn't make any sense because every single day they're trying to recreate the wheel instead of just bolting wheels on their SPV, their special purpose vehicle, right? and just move it down the track.
Yeah.
And the track is nothing more than getting it to and from the market.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yep.
Now you can go to the market on a commercial on TV or on Facebook or on Google or Google Shopping or YouTube or Snapchat or, the list goes on and on and on, but you have to have some kind of way to communicate with your audience. And if you put out the right message to the right person at the right time, you will make sales.
Yep.
Differently than trying to force feed something that's not working to the market.
Right.
So let's kind of talk about that point too, because it's a really good point around high ticket sales versus small ticket sales and the strategies between the two.
Yep.
So every single thing that you will ever sell has an ascension ladder.
Mm-hmm.
If it does not, you do not have a complete product.
Mm-hmm.
Everything that you've ever bought in your life from anybody that knows what they're doing in business and has a successful business, they all have an ascension ladder. They start off with a base model and they work up from there. It doesn't matter if you're talking about a car, getting a house built, appliances, phones, software, like it doesn't matter what you're talking about. They all have an ascension ladder. If you don't know what an ascension ladder is, it's nothing more than starting off with a base model, or sometimes we call it a tripwire, where we get a small amount of dollar. Maybe it's $1.99, 99 cents, $7.99, $14.99, whatever. And then it slowly starts building up the value and it creates this curve. And the curve is a hockey stick. I mean, it literally is. It starts off really small and it goes up, 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 up very quickly.
Mm-hmm.
But if you build them right, it's the next logical step for you to advance in that direction that you said you wanted to go. So let's just use an example. Let's say we're talking about software. Software, it might let you get a freemium model where that is, they bring you in, you could start an account for free, but then you can slowly start spending money to get either like more access to the software, different features in the software, more email addresses, more customer CRM people that you can maintain. Or maybe it's that you do a free plus shipping book offer that leads to a course, that leads to a bigger course, that leads to a mastermind, that leads to $100,000 mastermind, right?
Right. Yeah.
It's just slowly stepping those up. Well, here's the difference. The difference is on the tripwire offers or on the small offers, usually we can do that below the AI line. We can do that 100% autonomous. We can have a machine or a computer program or a system or just buttons that lead you through to complete your transaction in a cart where you never talk to a human. That is typically the entry point into my CRM. So if you went through, the machine walked you through all the steps, you put in your credit card, you then got moved over to a bucket that's now my CRM. From there, I'm going to send you an email. I'm going to step you into maybe a free Facebook group. And from that Facebook group, I'm going to ask you to turn on your notifications. I'm going to ask you to, go fill out this form. I'm going to give you some kind of other free thing. Maybe a PDF download or some kind of checklist or something. So I've gotten you to come all the way through and do a bunch of stuff. Now you've given me so much data on you, what you downloaded on, what you clicked on, what is your interest level? From there, I might bucket you out and tag you differently. So I say, this person already told me that they were interested in, building a website and starting a podcast. So then I start sending you out hey, here's a $49 course on how to start a podcast.
Right.
Here's my $149 course on intro into buying or into starting a website.
Yep.
And then I might step you up again and I say, hey, we have a service where we'll come in and we'll do your entire website for you. We will set up 4 funnels for you. We will do this and that and the other. Oh, but you need videos. If you need videos, here's a $49 course on how to film videos at your home, and here's the links of the microphone that I used and the lights that I used and the everything that also go out to Amazon that kicked me back a couple of dollars, all that kind of stuff. That is an Ascension model.
Yeah.
And if you have that and you keep speaking directly to the people, you will eventually get them to a point where they're ready to make a big sale. That big sale, typically, you have to run it to a video close where I'm talking to them directly because I want to sell them into a $30,000 mastermind on how to do websites and turn, money online.
Right. Totally. Yeah. Aaron Parkinson, who has been blowing up our comments here. So, so Aaron and I are partners in a couple of things, and he said that basically every 30 minutes of video that you're on with somebody gets you about $500. So typically, a bunch of video, is required, or a bunch of face-to-face or whatever is required for high levels of cash. The Ascension model, love it. So you use basically like a low ticket, $4.95, like 99 cent, whatever buyer. And that's the entry point into your world. And then you march them up through some low ticket offers and some affiliate stuff, which is, so the affiliate side, not many people get it anymore. Like I grew up on it and you grew up on it, but now it's like with, everybody was selling $2,000 courses and giving you 50% commissions on stuff, so, but now they don't do it anymore. So you have like Amazon's affiliate program and like Commission Junction and stuff gives you a little bit of money, but the Ascension model is fantastic for converting cold traffic and turning them into buyers who then know, like, and trust you, love you, and then they end up ascending into some sort of an upper end, something or other.
You know what else it does? So I've kind of coined the phrase Zoomies. Zoomies are like the tire kickers of Zoom. They go to every webinar, they go to every Zoom call, but they're just kicking tires. They're not actually, interested in buying anything.
Yeah. And,
Attack of the Zoomies is a legit thing in mid 2020. Right? So what the Ascension model also does for me is it tells me that the only way that they got to a Zoom call with me was they've already bought. I'm talking to a past purchaser.
Yeah.
Which means they're not just tire kickers, which means that I can spend a little more time on them and they've already paid for my time in most cases.
Yeah. Totally.
The collective whole has paid for my time to be on that 15-minute call.
Right.
Which is different. It's much different than just booking a cold video call for an hour. That's another thing. Dude, people will book your time out like it's nothing.
Oh,
and then not show up 10 minutes before. And it's not just that thank you for the email that says you're not going to make it 10 minutes before, but now I can't book out that hour.
Well, right. It's you end up losing twice.
You lose twice. That's right. Yeah. That's right. And people just don't care. So I broke it down and said, look, you don't get me for an hour. I may get on a 15-minute phone call and decide that you get another hour, right? Because you prove some kind of worth to me or some kind of value, or that you're serious about what you're talking about. And then we'll get on for an hour. Yeah. But I don't book out hours anymore at all, ever. Yeah. I think the first time that we talked, we got like 15 minutes and I said, let's book another call.
Yeah, you did. Yeah. It was. Yeah. So you share your screen a lot on these sales calls, right? Like, so what do you share on your screen? Like, for instance?
Yeah. So I'll do, so we all understand how case studies work, right? You typically send out a PDF case study and you expect people to read it. They don't read that stuff. But if I share my screen and I go through the case study and I directly apply that case study to their business, it is so powerful.
Makes sense.
Because you can say, hey, look, we did this for this company, and how that would reflect on your business is we could do the same thing, but we would augment this piece and this piece for that piece and that piece. And they're like, oh man, that makes total sense.
Right.
It's a whole different way.
Well, it's interesting because you talked about the Ascension stuff, and like right now, and what has been super popular is like the free plus shipping book offers.
Right.
But now with non-essential shipping being like, maybe you'll get your book, maybe you won't. Everybody switched to digital, which is awesome because no cost of fulfillment. So we built quite a few of those low ticket digital funnels, and it's nice because you just pull up the screen and say, this is what we did for them. Do you want something like this? Okay, cool. Like we're going to switch this out. You'll have a video here and so on and so forth. And then, do you want that? Okay, cool.
Yeah. And when you directly relate it to somebody's business and show them that their business is not unique, it's just the application of making their company's message fit inside the mold of whatever else we know works. I mean, there's certain things that we just know from spending hundreds of millions of dollars that certain things work for every business.
Yeah.
There is a model. I mean, if you look at, we were kind of just talking about this. My wife and I were just talking about this on TV shows. There's programmatic, right?
Yeah.
It's always the same. And she happened to have some TV show on, and I don't really watch TV. I don't even know what show it was, but there's this guy and he's, something had happened. You could tell the police were there and something had happened. And I was like, that dude's guilty. And she was like, what time is it? And I said, it's 10:02. She said, nope, it's not him. I was like, how do you know that? She's like, because every show is the exact same. At about 10:45, you'll find out who the killer is, and they'll spend the last 15 minutes prosecuting them, So, I mean, she's got it nailed, right? Well, the same thing is true with just about every funnel you will run. There are some, crazy ones. I work with a guy for a long time who he did a really cool docuseries, and that was kind of his launch thing. And he would give away the docuseries that was like 12 hours long. He would give it away for free for like 3 days, but you could only watch 8 hours of it. And then he would say, hey, look, if you want the rest or you want to support me, pay for the last 4 hours. And the last 4 hours was really expensive, but it was a model that worked. And that was a new one that I hadn't seen before. I tried to do it on something else and it bombed. It's just the way that he sets everything up. And it's unique, but it's still the same exact principle of you have to get them to come in and give it a try. Then you have to build value the whole way. Then you have to ask for a sale. And I mean, it's still the same model.
Yeah. So I teach a lot on like small successes, and it's not like going from 0 to a sale. It's, clicking the ad, and then from the ad, they got to go to a sales page. They got to scroll down the sales page, click the play button, go down, hit the add to cart button, wait for the add to cart button to load the order form, then go find their credit card, read. Yeah. So there's like 13 steps between like.
They're microtransactions.
Yeah. And everyone.
Sometimes the energy transaction that has to happen for them to go get that credit card is more than they're willing to do at that moment.
Yeah, totally. Well,
I mean, if the credit card is downstairs, most people will be like, I'll get it tomorrow.
I do. It'll be a piece of software. I'm like, my wallet's downstairs, whatever. I'll go back to it later. And sometimes I do, and sometimes I don't. But that's one of the things about Amazon and Apple Pay. It's like I'll buy whatever on Amazon because it's like they already have my credit card. All I got to do is I just got to remember the last 4 digits and boop, and then God forbid I got to re-enter my security number.
Right. So here's another one. Talk about high ticket sales. Is depending on the method in which you're using to get them on the call with the person that is actually the salesperson, which is typically different because you have a scheduler and then you have the closer. Well, the crazy thing about that is that the scheduler believes, unless you tell them otherwise, that they are trying to help in the ultimate sale.
Mm-hmm.
So they find themselves talking about things that are not their place, that could mess it up for the closer. So we actually teach our closer, our schedulers, we teach them on how to close the next call, not the product.
Yeah. Right.
Because their goal is to get through every objection to get the person on the next call and make sure the person is there. So if you're giving credit to people for booked calls, you should only be giving credit to booked calls that actually show.
Right.
So we teach them, okay, these are the main objections you're going to get for booking a call. These are the ways that you get around those. And then we're going to also send out a reminder. If it's more than 4 days, we're going to send out a reminder with another piece of high value content that's bonus material the second day into that 4-day wait.
Right.
So that you keep them warm and top of mind so that when the closer gets on the phone 4 days later, they're excited to be on the phone with the closer, whoever that is. So you don't want to hit them every day because now you feel, it seems from a customer journey perspective, it seems as though you are pitching too hard and you need the sale.
Right.
Instead of you're doing them a solid by giving them something that they actually need.
Yep.
So have you ever had this happen to you? I don't know why people do this. This is the craziest thing I've ever seen. But there are automatic feeders out there that every time you email somebody, they automatically pull that email and put you into their sales sequence.
Oh, I hate that.
Right?
Oh, yeah.
I was cool with you until you did that to me. So I just, for fun, and mainly because I wanted to prove the point, what I started doing was I started taking those people, I would tag them as in a special bucket, and I would send them every offer that we have. Like all of them. Like you think about it, they're getting pounded by hundreds of emails because I put them in a special tag that was basically like everything.
Yeah.
And they're like, dude, you're just blowing up my inbox. Oh, you mean like this one? And I reply on the one that they sent me originally. And I'm like, oh, you mean like this one? Because I was calling you to buy your company. Yeah. And you started pitching me on your, $37 offer, or whatever. So don't do that to people. If people are in a conversation with you, keep them in the regular loop. And then once you sell them, then you can put them into those, remarketing email chains and all that kind of stuff.
Well, and continuity is an important thing. I mean, if they, as you said, if they sign up for a sales call, you send them the helpful stuff, but you also don't want to, in the middle of that, send them to some other affiliate offer or something that takes their focus away from you.
Yeah. Or you start giving them discounts.
Right.
So like here's a good one. Remember where we are in the journey here. We have gotten them to agree to get on a call with the closer. Then before the closer can even get on, you've sent them a 25% discount or 50% off or whatever.
Yeah.
So I told this story recently. I'll tell it again because it's really funny. So I was going to, I had to drive one place all the time for work, and I saw this really cool shop on the side of the road where they made like these handmade hammocks and like they hand did outdoor furniture, like wicker stuff and whatever that nylon string is or whatever. And they handmade them right there on the side. Like they'd be out there every day with their little looms and they were doing all this cool stuff. So anyway, there was like this really cool dining set. I'd seen it like 50 times. One day I was on my motorcycle. One day I pulled over and I was like, dude, how much is that thing? He told me it was like $1,900. I was like, sweet. I'm going to get my truck. I'm coming right back. I'm going to buy that thing. He was like, whoa, wait. What if I took 30% off? Okay, but I'm just going to my house to get my truck. I'll be right back. I'm on a motorcycle. He's like, 50% off, you take it today. I was like, dude, okay, 50% off, sweet. I got the thing for 65% off. I walked in, gave him my card.
Yeah.
They ran it. I said, okay, I'll be back. I'm going to get my truck. I went and got my truck and came back. That dude wanted the sale so bad, I would have paid full price for it because I thought it was cool. Yeah. I'd already seen it 50 times. Yeah. I knew I wanted it. I was going to give him full price, and he just wouldn't let me walk away long enough to get a vehicle that I could transport it. So it's like that thing too. You can't be in the mindset that you need a sale. If you need a sale to make the payroll or, keep the lights on or whatever, do yourself a favor. Don't ruin your audience. Go get a part-time job, to pay the bills until you can get the clients that you absolutely want to have. Yeah. Because those clients that you needed and you took for a lower price just to pay the bills is killing your audience. And if you do that, eventually you're going to find yourself in a place where you can pay the bills, but the stress that those people are putting on you is just too much for you to bear. Most of the time you burn out and you just can't ever really get ahead.
Right. And the high ticket offer piece, which was kind of, the where we started, it's entirely made up of the audience. I mean, it has to be the right audience and the right person who's going to be able to take the best advantage of what you do. And they might be a very small set of people, it's just finding that very small set of people.
Yeah. And not only that, when you get that small group of people, they will get you other people through referrals of that small group. But if you taint that audience, let's say you have like some really high rollers in that audience, and then you start bringing in, tire kickers and adding them to the audience, that core group of your real purchasers, of the people that really matter to grow in that business, they will start going away. They will start, kind of breaking off and saying, well, the group's not what it used to be. Right. And you can really water down a good core group that will keep you a lot of dollars coming in the door.
Yeah.
And you see a lot of masterminds that, they bring, when it was just 50 or 80 people, it was great.
Yeah.
Then they try to grow. Now it's 100 or 120 people, but they're not the same caliber as the core group of 50 that you had. Right. And then all of a sudden the core group of 50 goes away. And what you're left is this mediocre crowd that just isn't as good as it used to be.
Yeah. Yeah.
So here's another thing that you can accidentally put in an offer to a core group that is below their caliber and destroy the group too. So
yes,
if you have to make sure that the upsells, the bump sells, the cross sells, all that stuff is on par with the core group that you have inside of your audience. Mm-hmm. And if you just want to do another launch for a low ticket item, what happens is as soon as all those people see it, they're like, that's going in a different direction than what I am. So you have to really understand who is in that audience, and you have to be willing to remove people that don't fit in the audience, give up that $1,000 or that $5,000 or that $25,000 or the $100,000, give that one up because since you were willing to give that up, the group understands that you are really focused on the core group, and they will go replace that $100,000 that you gave up with $300,000 or $400,000 or $500,000, $600,000.
Right. Totally. Yeah. It's it's interesting because there's just a lot of people in like the high ticket space, and that's all they do is, $6,000, $7,000, $10,000, $15,000 offers. They don't mess with the free plus shipping books. They don't mess with any of the low end stuff. It's all, it's an audio program for $5,000, 60 minutes worth of audio, because the information in that audio program is capable of making them, $100,000, $200,000, $300,000.
So what you're talking about is an Ascension Gap. This is a whole different way to do this.
Yeah.
So think about like a ladder. It has regular rungs, and that's your ascension ladder. They need to do something to bridge the gap to get to the next rung and the next rung. If you put the rungs too far away, they can't reach the next rung. And if you put them too short, they're going to be going up every single rung, but they're not going to be going anywhere fast.
Right.
Now, if you turn that ladder into a board, they can't climb at all. It's just like a steep hill. They can't go up.
Yep.
The ascension gap, sometimes we create it as marketers. And what we do is that's where you've seen where you'll be on a webinar, or let's say you're in a training module. You've already gone through the webinar. You're now in the training, and they'll say something like, we're not really going to go into this subject. If you want to learn more about that, we have this other course that you can go to, which is kind of the next level. But today we're only going to talk about this and this and this. That's creating this ascension gap, because what you're trying to do is take them off of this ladder, walk them across this pier, and take them up this ladder.
Right.
Kind of the chutes and ladders type thing, right? Yeah. So you can create those, but you typically, and this is Ninja, you typically want to take them to a different named something. So like you might be in professionals, and then or you can move, you can go across the platform and go to this, which is professionals elite.
Right.
Right. Or you can go from this group and you're going to join this group. And you create such an ascension gap that they have to make a major purchase to get from one group to the next group that's a higher level.
Right.
And that is Ninja, because the people, you can use a lot of those low end offers down here in this group.
Yeah.
Then you selectively pick the people that are engaged, making moves, have proven that they're smart, or that they say intelligent things. Then you can go grab those people as an individual and say, hey, you might be interested in this over here.
Yep.
And you can cherry pick those people out.
Right.
But the low ticket offers is a great model to get thousands and thousands of people in, to then be more selective about who you move to that bigger ladder.
Well, and you already provided the answer for this, which was, based on what they do, what links they click, what survey responses they have. Yep. Most good CRMs, you can score that person. So like if they buy these 3 products, they're worth 500 points or whatever. And then you can say all these high-end, high-point people could all get triggered into an autoresponder sequence for the other tier, the other ladder. So
if you're really Ninja, you can also do some other analysis beyond just the surveys they take or the purchases that they make. And so you can do things like, I'm not saying that we do or don't do this. I'm just saying you could get a VA to every single new person that comes in. Typically, you're trying to get them on Facebook somehow.
Yeah.
Then you cross-reference between that, their Facebook followers, their pages, their Instagram, to see if this somebody is a somebody that you really want. Because, for example, let's say, for example, I get somebody like Roland Frazier to click through on a video ad, because he's doing the same thing that I'm doing to him, which is going through his stuff to see who does what. He's not going to buy my $47 offer, but he came through. So then if I get a list of X amount of people that, a VA would say, hey, you should probably talk to this person, this person, this person, this person. I reach out to those people and say, hey, dude, I saw you came in through whatever. Yeah. And then you start this conversation that's completely different. And you can probably skip the lower group and take them straight to the higher group.
Makes total sense.
Yeah. So some people just, they're not interested in the low ticket offers. They're interested in making money moves. And you need to be able to weed those people out too, and be able to talk to them directly.
Right.
Yeah.
And there's tech that will help find those people. I mean, there's a lot of CRMs.
Yeah, there's a lot.
Some of that stuff. Yeah, man, I could talk to you all day. But it's coming up on 11 o'clock here, so we should probably wrap everything up. First of all, thank you so much, jumping on. It was awesome. Dude, information was incredible. Is there anything you want to kind of leave everybody with?
No, I mean, whether you have a low ticket offer or you have a high ticket offer, the thing that you just have to remember is have pride in making the content when you first start it.
Yeah.
But once that is done, you have to set your pride aside. You have to run it out to the market. If the market responds positively, do more of that. If they don't respond positively, it's you, not them. Just take your pride away.
Right.
And just understand that you haven't done what you needed to do to build the value to get them to take the next step. So if you just inwardly reflect on that and say, hey, what can I do to speak more intelligently or better or more simply to this audience, your offer will work. And most of the time it's because you are using, we've seen this in every industry. Lots of offers are made with the assumption that anybody that's watching it already knows a certain amount of things.
Mm-hmm.
You've been on some of my calls. I break things down to like the lowest common denominator, and that is a 6-year-old.
Mm-hmm.
Like, or call it a 13-year-old if you have a really, really, difficult sales model. But there's really nothing that you can't explain to a 13-year-old. And you just kind of gauge the people as they're going through that. Are they getting it? If they are, great. Ramp up to a 17-year-old or 21 or 25, or you do the math in your head however you want to do it. But just start off from the bare minimum, explain everything. And then as they walk through, you can pretty much figure out where you need to be and what's the natural equilibrium for your audience. Yep. And then you know how to talk to them every single time.
Right. Dude, it's awesome. All right. Thank you so much. We'll catch up again soon.
Yeah, let's do it, bro. Thanks for having me.
Yep. Bye.